Hey everyone, my name is Ashton August, and today I am going to break down how to use 3 popular yoga props, a yoga wheel, yoga blocks, and a yoga strap in your practice. Now, this is a great video for you if you're on the fence about getting or using some of these props. It's also a great video for you if you have some of these props and you're wondering where to begin and how to use them in your practice. This video has been brought to you by Second Wind, and I am using their cork yoga wheel, cork yoga blocks, as well as their yoga mat strap. Grab your props if you have them, and let's get started. As a yoga teacher, I truly believe that props are great for every level of yogi. So whether you are a brand new beginner and wanting to use props to help you advance into your practice, or whether you're a more experienced yogi looking for ways to increase your strength, to deepen your practice, yoga props can help you at all levels. As a teacher, I often hear students tell me that they feel props are only for beginners, but that's simply not the case because every day our bodies can feel a little bit different. Sometimes you might want to use a block to help you, other days you might not need it. I like to say that the most advanced yogi is simply the yogi who honors their body, who can listen and honor what they need that day and modify accordingly with the use of props. So in addition to helping you modify certain poses, props can make poses more accessible. They also can help you stretch, increase flexibility, and deepen into poses over time. There's so many things that we can do with yoga props, so enough talk, let's get into it. We're gonna start with yoga blocks. So again, you can simply watch, or if you have blocks at home, you can follow along with me. We're going to start with triangle pose. So what I often see in triangle, which is a challenging posture, it requires a lot of flexibility, is that if your hand is not able to reach all the way down to the mat, which is totally fine and very common, what happens often is we tend to compromise. So we compromise our form here or here. And so instead, all we need to do is grab a block, and on any height that you need, that block now brings the mat up to you. Oh, much better. So you can get nice and elongated through the torso. You get that nice lift out of the side body here, and you're accessing the proper form of this pose. Good. Now from here, I want to move into another pose that can greatly benefit from blocks, and this is a low lunge pose. So if you do have blocks, we're gonna grab 2 and frame our front foot. Now from here, you're simply dropping your back knee down and releasing the top of the foot. Without blocks, you might feel like you can't really touch down on the mat without kind of this rounding in your spine. So if we bring the blocks into play here, we're able to maintain a lift from the heart, a nice elongated spine, and we breathe. So whether you're practicing with foam or cork blocks, you're getting the same benefit of using the block. I personally prefer to practice with a cork block because it is a heavier weight, and therefore it provides me a little extra support and a sense of staying grounded and stable for me. So from here, we can tuck our toes and come into a nice high lunge and then just take those blocks with you. So you can adjust accordingly based on what you need. Now from here, the next thing that I love to use blocks for is for balancing. So where we are right now, an easy transition is to come into Ardha Chandrasana. Now for Ardha Chandrasana or balancing crescent moon, you would place a block right in front of your standing foot. Now this is bringing the mat up to meet you so that you're able to maintain a nice extension through your spine, and you also feel a little more supported in your balance with your hand resting on the block. We can take that for a revolved as well by dropping the left hip down, bringing our left hand down to the block, and lifting the right arm up. Good. From here, another pose that can greatly benefit from a block is a revolved pyramid pose. So same positioning of the block inside of the right foot. My left foot now is about a 3-foot stance behind. My left toes turned slightly outward. And same thing, my left hand goes to the block, and I'm gonna tell you guys right now, this is one of my most challenging postures, so I really love to use a block for it. I'm able to square my hips forward and then reach my right arm up, and I'm able to access this posture much more deeply, but also effectively and safely with the help of this block. Good. Now from here, let's come on down to the mat. Another way that I really like to incorporate yoga blocks into my practice is for support. So this is more of the restorative aspect of how we can use yoga blocks. One very simple example is a nice supported bridge pose. So if you're coming into a traditional bridge pose, keep that block beside you, and then as you lower down onto your back, you can simply lift your hips and slide the block underneath. Now let's go on the lowest height to start. I'm resting this block on this triangular part of my sacrum, right at the base of my tailbone. In fact, the tip of my tailbone is right on the edge of the bottom of the block, or the side of the block that faces my heels. So from here, you want to find that sweet spot. So this might take a little adjusting at first if you're doing this at home along with me, but once you find it, you'll know. You're able to fully relax and fully flatten your tailbone onto the block. Now just take a breath here if you're with me. Yeah, it feels nice and supportive. Good. Now another way that we can use it, so we're going to lift our hips if you're with me and slide the block out from under, lowering down nice and slow. We'll come on up, is for a butterfly pose. So I'll just turn to face you. So butterfly pose is a big hip opener. And most of us have our knees pretty high because we're working deep into the hip joint here. So if we're holding this pose for a longer period of time and we want some added support, blocks are perfect for that. So we would grab 2 blocks and place them on whichever height you need beneath the knees. So in essence, we're again bringing the mat up to meet us here. So this way I can sink heavy into the blocks. I feel fully supported, because what I often see in students is we clench, right? If we are lacking flexibility in a certain part of our body, we're clenching because it's not very comfortable. So the blocks allow us to relax and deepen into this stretch. Very nice. Okay, a couple more and then we'll move on to the next yoga prop. Now, another way that I love to use yoga blocks for support is in a pigeon pose. So I'm going to show you what this looks like. Now, if I'm in a pigeon pose stretch, but my seat is lifted pretty far off the mat, I might end up clenching, and not really fully accessing this stretch because I don't have anything to rest on for support. So if you notice when you're in pigeon that your seat is lifted off the mat, that's when we can incorporate a block. And we can simply scoot that block beneath the seat, and then we're able to feel that support. And once again, I am now able to soften into this stretch. Good. All right, now the final way that I would like to show using the block, so we'll remove that block if you tried that with me, is actually for strengthening. So this is a fun little way that you can add some spice to your core work, and it also helps you maintain really good form and muscle activation. So instead of taking a traditional boat pose or navasana, where we're hugging our knees together, we can do this with a block in between. So you can already imagine how this is going to up the ante of our crunch and our core work, and also really teach us how to squeeze our knees together. So if you're doing this with me, here we go. We're gonna lean back. We're going to lift and extend our knees, and I am squeezing that block with all I've got, and I'm feeling how this is really keeping my legs active as well as my core. You can even get real intense with it if you want, and do a couple lifts and lowers. Woo! With that block. One more, and we're done. Great job. So we'll set that aside. That is an overview of the way that you can use yoga blocks in your practice to deepen your flexibility, to deepen into poses over time, to aid in balance, to aid in strengthening, as well as provide support. All right, so moving on from here, now let's get into the yoga strap. Yoga strap is a classic yoga prop. Now, a little hack for you is that oftentimes whatever yoga mat you purchase comes with a basic mat carrying strap, which can double as a yoga strap. So I'm actually using the yoga mat strap from the Second Wind mat that I'm sitting on. So you can do the same if you happen to have one of these at home or a traditional yoga strap. If not, and you want to practice along with me, you can always simply use a towel or a belt. So for yoga strap, these really help us gain flexibility and mobility and help us deepen into our stretches safely. So let's start off with a very basic hamstring stretch from a seated position. With my legs out long, I am going to extend the strap around the arches of my feet. So from here, I'm going to flex my feet back towards my face. This is a key tip for any time you're stretching. You want to actively flex your feet here. Now from here, I'm going to grab the strap and use it as leverage to lift my heart, to get nice and tall through my spine. Now for many of us, this might be a deep enough stretch right here, and if it is, perfect. You already are where you need to be. If you'd like to deepen, you can gently hinge forward and maintain a nice flat spine. Now another thing that straps are great for is progressing over time. So if you start here day one, week one, year one, perfect. Then over time, you can slowly inch your way down the strap, and that's a way to note your progress and to deepen over time. Good, so now we're gonna take this same principle onto our back. So lying onto your back, if you're working with a strap that has a handy dandy loop, we are going to hook that loop around the arch of our foot. And once again, we're going to straighten into our leg. Now, I'm going to bring my opposite arm out to a T so I feel grounded and stable. You're seeing that I'm also really actively flexing my left foot here so that my leg is anchoring me to the mat. So between these two ingredients, I am nice and stable. Now, right away, you want to kick your heel towards the ceiling, but also check in with your body. And if this is too intense of a stretch for you, micro bend that knee. All right, so from here, we're just going to breathe. And this is working into the back of our leg, or our hamstrings specifically. Now, another stretch that we can take from here is an IT band stretch. Now, you want to move into this one really slow because it does not take a lot for you to feel the sensation. I'm going to switch out my hands. So if the strap is on your right foot, left hand grabs the strap now, and your right arm goes out to a T. I'm slowly guiding my right leg across the center line of my body. You'll see that it's not very far. It's level with about my left hip, and now I am feeling the stretch deep into the outside of my leg, the IT band. Good. Coming back through center, you can switch out hands again and then open your right leg out to the side, bringing this hamstring stretch down into the inner groin and hips as well. This is a reclined splits variation here. And final thing we'll do right now is a half happy baby stretch. Oh, this feels so good with the help of a strap. Good. So when you're ready, if you're with me, we can slowly just sit back up. And I'm actually going to stand up now to show you the next couple things we can do with a strap. So the first one is dancer pose. Now, this is a great way to work on your shoulder mobility and to also help you access the pose if you're not quite there with gripping the foot. A lot of people will incorporate a yoga strap to work on the flip the grip or the reverse grip of bringing the hand up and overhead for the foot. So if you'd like to try this with me, you can always do this up against a wall or grabbing onto a chair with your opposite hand for support. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to loop this strap around the arch of my foot, just like we did on our backs. Now from here, I'm going to flip my grip and bring my arm out and behind me like so. So I'll turn so you can see this from the side. Now my right arm extends long, and again, this can go on a wall or a piece of furniture for help with balance. But take an inhale breath and grow nice and tall. And with your exhale, we're going to kick as we hinge forward. You can stay right here if this is enough, or over time, you can work your hands down the strap, especially if you're working on flipping your grip. Good. We'll slowly come out of that, and we'll release the strap. Nice job. All right, so the next thing I want to show with a yoga strap is using it to access a full bind. Ooh, the elusive full bind. So Many yogis want to access this full bind, and I'm going to show you what it looks like first from the front. So in our full bind, from an extended side angle pose, which is where we're going to access it today, I would take my top arm and bend my elbow so that it comes behind my back. Now my bottom arm here is going to reach beneath my thigh and then bend at the elbow so my right hand faces up. Now, this is the full expression of a full bind. What I often see is this. So we're straining, we're trying to get there, but we're not quite there yet. And this, my friends, is where our strap comes in. So I'm actually going to show you this from the back. So from my extended side angle, my bottom right hand is grabbing onto the strap. Coming into it the same way, we'll bend the front knee, we'll extend the left arm long and the right arm down towards the mat. My left arm bends behind me now, as my right hand grabbing the strap bends up and through. Now, your left hand is going to find the strap. And when you're starting off, you might have a lot of slack in between the two hands, and that is okay. As long as you are able to round your top shoulder up and back, that's as much strap as you need. So don't compromise the integrity of form here. Keep the good form, and then over time, you can work your hands closer and closer together. Awesome. So we'll slowly let that go, and we'll come out of the pose. I've got one more move for you with our strap. And this is Gomukhasana, or cow face arms. This is another pose that requires a lot of mobility in the arms. And if it's not yet accessible for you, a strap is the perfect way to get there. So, Gomukhasana, I'll show you this from the back. I'm not going to worry about the legs, but the full Gomukhasana also stacks the knees. We're focusing on the arms for this tutorial. So, what this looks like is we take our arms out to a T, and I'll just show you the expression first. And then we bend one elbow down. So I'm bending my right elbow down as I reach my left arm up overhead and then bend my left elbow straight down. Now I'm going to turn my right fingertips up and find my fingers in the center of my back. Now, this took me many years to find this final expression. So if you're finding it as well, we're going to incorporate the strap. So we're going to grab the strap with the hand that's going to lift skyward. So I'm going to keep that in my left hand. Take your arms out to a T, and then bend your right elbow behind your back. We're going to lift our left arm straight up in the air with the strap in hand. Now I'm going to bend my left elbow straight down, and then my right hand is going to find the strap. Now, once I have the grip, I'm going to lift my heart and get nice and tall. Stay right here. If you feel like you can walk your hands a centimeter or so down the strap, go for it. And then over time, pretending like this is a time-lapse video of lots of practice, you can get closer and closer to touching your hands together. And when you're ready, simply release the strap from your bottom hand, and you can set your strap off to the side. Great job. Okay, if you do that with me, you can shake your arms out. And let's move into the yoga wheel. So the yoga wheel has a variety of uses, and we're going to start with my personal favorite, which is a spinal massage. I know plenty of yogis who have gotten the wheel just in order to do what we're about to do. So for the spinal massage, we would set our yoga wheel up behind us. I'm going to turn and bring my back up to the wheel, or the wheel up to meet my low back. Now, you almost want to start off in kind of like a seated bridge position. So your feet are hip width distance apart. And if you are a brand new beginner on the wheel, please take this very slow. You want to really be gentle with your spine here, and you want to feel this out in your body. So if you're brand new to this, perhaps you watch first. So what we're going to do is slowly bring the center or the upper spine onto the wheel. I'm going to guide my hands down to the mat for support, and my head is hanging heavy. Good. So this is great for our posture, number one. This is reversing all the effects of hunching over a computer all day. A nice heart opener too. Now from here, we can gently roll our seat down towards the floor so that we're rolling onto the upper back. And then we can lift the seat as we roll the wheel down to the center spine. And again, move very slow here. Feel this out in your body. Good. As you roll up the spine, you can even lift your head a little bit. Good. And then from here, we can add a shoulder stretch as well. Now, this can be pretty deep, so feel it out in your body. But if you're able to, you can reach back and grab the wheel here. And this is going to allow a nice shoulder opener as well as a chest opener. You can hold it stagnant, or you can gently roll a few inches up and a few inches down. Yoga wheels are so much fun, but it's also just important to take them slow, to start slow, and to keep your yoga wheel practice safe. So when you're ready to dismount from that, we'll release our hands down, we'll release the seat down, and we'll slowly come off that wheel. Great job. That feels amazing. So a quick side note about what to look for in a yoga wheel. You do want to look for a wheel that has some good cushioning, especially if you're doing things like what we just did, a spinal massage. And that's what I like about this cork wheel, is it's nice and supportive and cushiony. So from here, let's explore some ways that we can use a yoga wheel for strengthening. So I really like yoga wheels for strengthening as well as stabilizing. So we're going to work on both. So I'm going to come to standing to show you this next one. So we can use the yoga wheel for a series of lower body exercises, and I'll show you a few right now. So we can take this wheel to the inner arch of our right foot and then set the left foot on top. So right away, we're already working into our balance. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to kick my left leg directly out to the left as I squat and bend down into my right leg. So your hands can be on your hips or heart center for this, and you're going to lower down and allow that wheel to roll out from underneath the foot and onto the back of the calf. And then with your inhale, come all the way back to starting with the bottom of your foot on the wheel. Good. Now we're going to do this a few times just so you can feel it in your body. And as you move, I want you to check in with that right standing leg and just make sure that you're pressing the knee outward towards the outer blade of that right foot so your knee's not caving inward. Good. And then we can do the same approach. So I'm actually going to turn to face the side here. And we can take the wheel directly forward. So I'm going to stick to the same side. The wheel starts aligned with the inner arch of my right foot. And then as I bend into my right standing knee, I'm going to extend that left leg long and then come back to that starting position. Use your breath here. Exhale as you lower. Press that right knee outward. Inhale to come to standing. My glutes are firing. I am keeping my glutes active here. Exhale to lower. Inhale up. Good. So it's a small motion. It's not a huge range of motion that we're working in, but I am definitely feeling it in the low body. One more way that we can use the wheel for squats is actually by holding the wheel in our hands. So this wheel doesn't weigh a lot, but it's going to feel like it does after a few reps of this. So I'm going to take my feet a little bit wider than hip width distance, and we're going to start with the wheel low. As we come into a basic squat position, we're going to extend the wheel out in front of us. Inhale to stand. Exhale to squat down. Good. So now this is just a fun way to work our upper body and tone our arms, and I'll show you from the side as we work into our squats. And it also is a nice physical reminder to keep the core nice and active here. Good. One more variation we can do with this is simply holding the wheel up overhead for these squats. And you can even diversify the squats by taking side squats as well. And you can even add on by lowering and lifting the wheel as you go. So, moral of the story, lots of fun ways to use the wheel for strengthening. We've got one more, and this one's a kicker. So these are plank roll-ups. We're going to use the wheel beneath the front part of our shins and ankles to roll ourselves up into a piked plank position. So start with the wheel at the back of your mat. This is a good one to watch first and then try yourself if you'd like to. I'm going to plant my palms as I would in a traditional plank pose. Now from here, I'm going to stack the top of my ankles onto the top of the wheel. I'm going to keep my feet flexed here. I'm going to keep my hips lifted. Core is really strong and engaged. And then take an inhale breath. Exhale, roll that wheel in towards you. Inhale, extend long. Exhale, roll. Good. Use your inhale. Exhale for the crunch. And last one here, we're going to roll forward, and this is how we come out of it. simply drop your knees down and then come onto the seat and move that wheel out of the way. Woo! That is a challenging one, but a fun one too. So now that we've explored some strengthening moves, let's explore some stretches and cool downs that we can do as well. So the first one that we can do is an extended puppy dog pose. Now, without the wheel, extended puppy dog pose is keeping your hips above your knees as you extend your arms long. Now, when we incorporate the wheel, we're able to get a little more extension through the spine. This pulls the stretch into the side body, from the armpits down into the side flanks. It feels amazing. Taking a breath here. Good, very nice. Now we can slowly come up. And the next thing we can do with it is a nice hamstring stretch. So we'll extend our left leg long, and then we're going to place the bottom of the right leg onto the wheel. So right here, just get nice and tall through your heart, flex all 10 toes back towards your face. You have the option to stay right here if you're getting enough of a stretch. If you would like a little more, then we can hinge forward, working our arms down the wheel. And you don't have to touch the forehead down to the knee either. You can keep the heart and the forehead lifted as you simply work your hands down the wheel. Good. And slowly come back up. And you can let that go. Now, the final way that we can use a yoga wheel is kind of the same way that we can use yoga blocks. So if you have a wheel at home, you can explore using it the same way we did the block for something like triangle pose. Essentially, anytime that you want to bring the floor up to meet you, you can explore using the yoga wheel in the same way. Well, that concludes our tutorial of how to use 3 common yoga props in your daily yoga practice. If you're interested in learning more about any of the props that we used here today, you can click on the links below or read the full article. And if you have any questions about what we covered or general questions about yoga props, I always love hearing from you. You can reach out in the comments. Thank you so much for joining me, and be sure to subscribe to the Yogi Approved YouTube channel for more videos just like this. I'll see you next time.